All right, so this is supposed to be the official start time, but let's, give a couple minutes just to kind of do a little introduction. Riker, people are gonna, need to know who are you, where did you come from, what should we know? Uh, for myself, for those who don't know, I'm Mackenzie at Immunefi. I do hacker success and all those things, helping you find bugs and get paid. Rudra, would you give a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, hello everybody. My name is Rudra, and I work as a smart contract triager at Immunefi. So when you submit the report, we are the team that deals with it and gets you paid. So yeah.
Sweet. And
Awesome.
Riker, most important,
Yeah.
please tell us about yourself.
Hey guys, hope you're all having a great Friday. Jesus, it's Friday already. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. My name is Ryker. I'm the creator of ZeroLend and also the lead dev on ZeroLend. So yeah, excited to do this with you guys. My background is computer science and math, and we've been building DeFi for 4 to 5 years. So we were excited to talk to you about ZeroLend and kind of run this boost with you guys. Excited to see what you guys come up with. Obviously, the rewards are great. We want to make sure that we do reward you for your work. And that's really it. Yeah, nothing else from my side.
All right. So I'll give a quick brief of the call format so everyone knows what it'll be like in advance. Heads up, we are recording this call, including the chat. So that'll all be there for posterity. When we're going to run through this, where I'll give a brief overview of the boost, some of the rewards, some of the terms, just so that you know that in case you don't already. Riker here is going to dive right into ZeroLend, giving a overview of the protocol, what you need to know, what is it, how it works. It is the scope is about 6,500 lines of code, 6,500. So we're not going to go through line by line, function by function. We're going to take it at a more high level, walk you through the resources you'll need to know. So as you dive into each part, you can figure it out. And the last or the second stage of this is going to be a more general Q&A. And we're going to pop in with questions during the presentation as well, clarify this, dive a bit more into that. But then in the second stage is just going to be a bunch of Q&A we've prepared. Love to hear all the Q&A you guys have related to the ZeroLend boost here. And then we're going to wrap it up. And this will be posted on YouTube, so for those who couldn't make it, or if you need to rewatch and get some confirmation, you'll be able to do that. And with that, what is the ZeroLend boost? So in short, ZeroLend is live with about 60 million TVL right now. And to help secure the protocol, they've launched this boost, this bug bounty boost on Immunefi. And there are 200K, or it's gone up a lot since yesterday. Almost 90 million right now, not counting borrowed. Everything I wrote for ZeroLend is already wrong on the TVL front. That was fast. So so ZeroLend is exploding right now, and in the best possible way. That means securing it is super important here. And so they put up 200K in rewards that's going to get distributed among people who find bugs. So look into it, submit what you find for bugs, submit those really valuable, interesting things. Criticals and highs and loss of funds are the most important thing. But that said, medium things and things that could be combined in interesting ways to try and exploit those bugs or accomplish that is also valuable to have. And it's going to last for 2 weeks until next Thursday, ending at 8 a.m. UTC. Countdown is on the boost page on the Immunefi website. And in this event, Riker here and the ZeroLend team are going to be responding super fast to your bug reports and your questions and really helping you, get that fast feedback so you can spend less time kind of trying to figure things out and more time actually finding and exploiting bugs. On weekends, they will have the time off. So just during weekdays, though, they'll be at hand and accessible right in the Discord channel. We put a little intro with some of that information on how to contact them. And I think that is the high of it, of how it's going to work. If anyone's got any questions, please drop them in the chat. But with this, Riker, would you dive in and walk us through the code. And I see we've already got a question from Stormy here, so that might be a good starting point on how to begin going into it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mackenzie, by the way, there are two guys complaining that the video isn't loading.
Yeah.
Is it still the case?
Okay. So I think Sky Hunter and Kunal. So let me just. I think I'll have to keep on. Uh, re resharing.
Right.
But can you guys still see it, or do we have to?
So for the recording, we will also post it online, and it'll have the recording though. For theirs, it's not working right now, and we're not going through specific lines of code, so we'll share links in the chat of what he is going in, so you can follow along there too.
Okay. So regarding I'll start. So Mac, you want me to do an intro first, right? And then questions and walkthrough. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Okay. So guys, yeah, I'll do an intro first, and then we jump into what some of the questions and the walkthrough and everything. So the project is called ZeroLend. What we are is an Aave fork, right? With a few things that make us quite different. So when you visit the protocol, you see immediately a very similar interface of Aave, which I think a lot of you might be familiar with. So this is how it looks, as you can see. So we're currently live on 3 different markets, which is Blast, ZK Sync, and Manta. So these are the markets that the protocol is currently live. Now, what makes us different is the way we do incentives. Now, our token is not yet live, but when it does go live sometime next month, which is actually April, so mid of April is when we're expecting our token to go live. When that does happen, we do expect a lot of growth and incentives. So that's sort of what makes us different from Aave, which is the fact that Aave right now is a fantastic lending protocol, but it does not have any incentives besides their own Aave token and maybe incentivizing some supplies and borrows, right? So here, if you look in here, it's very similar to Aave. Like you have your supply side, you can come in, you can deposit assets, you can withdraw assets, live on both ZK Sync and Manta. And there are some incentives right now. Like at the moment, we have this pre-mining incentive, which we like to call it as early zero. So the token is basically zero, and we're doing this pre-mine right now where people that supply liquidity get this early zero token, which gives them a portion of our airdrop, right? Now we started back in July, which is like I think almost 7 to 8 months now, right? And yeah, we started out with like $30 in TVL, and started growing slowly and steadily since then, right? So every sort of day, it's been like just a constant upward growth of TVL. It's been a long journey, right? So today we're sitting at maybe 88 million total, but maybe 230 million including borrowed. But we've not done anything different. Like we've just kept it as close to Aave as we can. Um, and we're very excited to do this boost with you guys because we believe the incentives that we're going to be launching pretty soon would maybe make this grow a lot more. So this is where we are. In terms of numbers, so we have a Dune dashboard where you can see a lot of the numbers on ZK Sync. So this is only ZK Sync. It does not include Manta and Blast. So you can see like the protocol has a lot of users, a lot of daily users. Has revenue as well that's generating. So all these numbers are there. And that's really it. So that's a brief introduction of the project, what it is. And yeah, so I'll take a few questions. I mean, I think the one that's in the chat right now by Stormy, which is the timeline, given the boost time. So I mean, Mac and Rudra, we're flexible, like we can extend the the campaign a bit more. And we can be super accessible as well. So, I mean, you guys let us know. If 2 weeks is too short, we can look at extending it a bit more, so that the hackers have enough time. What do you guys think? What do you think, Mac, on this?
It's an interesting point. Yeah, please drop your comments if you guys have opinions on it too. And another Boost project has suggested doing the same, as you always want to give hackers time to really think about this without having an unhealthy time crunch on them.
Yeah.
I think we can surface this with the community when it's about a week in, or potentially even sooner based on your guys' feedback
Mhm.
in the community here. And yeah, I think extending it by a week would be reasonable based on
We can
context.
extend it by a week. I think that's fair. So yeah, that's basically what we can do. And what else? So yeah, Mac, what do you want?
Oh,
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of elaborate on Stormy's question here, where kind of taking it from a different angle, what is prior knowledge that would help someone understand and bug hunt on ZeroLend?
Okay, great question. Let me just see if there's a way for me to showcase this to you. I had a pitch a long time ago. I want to see if I can bring that up. So this was the pitch that we did for a blast back in the day. Yeah. So this is a good summary, guys, of what we have built. So Matt, can you see my slide? Can you see the slide over here?
Yep.
Okay, guys, what we are is Aave v3 for the underlying lending protocol. That's the core of what you see right now. We use Pith network, right, for the oracles. So we rely on Pith and also Redstone for getting us price feeds. This is Salient. We use Gelato for automation, so updating price feeds, updating liquidations and all those things. So we use Gelato. The incentives, which I spoke about earlier, is an inspiration from other protocols. So we take a lot of inspiration from Radiant Capital. There's a yield-bearing stablecoin. This is not in the scope, but this is a fork of Prisma. And there's some custom code. Like for example, on Blast, we have some custom code to sort of build those incentives out, So that's sort of what I'm going to deep dive in the rest of this call. But this is, prior information for you guys to know what you're going to expect. The lending protocol is the same as Aave. The deployments might be slightly different. And there's a custom incentive code, which is different. So these are the two prior knowledge pieces. Yeah. So yeah, Mac, what should I do next? Go through the code base, I guess, or?
Yes, go through the code base, but first I got one question that's always fun to hear, which is which parts of the code base is there the most custom code made for?
Yeah. So so what's happening, guys, is the lending, borrowing, liquidations, all that remains the same. There's no changes to that whatsoever. What changes is the incentives. So let me just take open ZK Sync, for example, right? Today, we have an incentive mechanism that is exactly like Aave, which is you supply liquidity, you get points. You get early zero, you get incentives, right? You borrow liquidity, you also get incentives and whatever, So that's what Aave has right now and what we have right now as well. So the custom code is basically changing this, right? Now, let me show you Radiant. I think Radiant is a good example of how they've taken Aave and then sort of changed changed the incentive mechanism. So over here, guys, if you look at Radiant, you can see it's very similar to Aave. So you have your deposit, supply, withdraw, borrow, all these things, right? So these are the same things you see in Aave as well. But what Radiant does different is they have an incentive mechanism where to sort of let me see if I can figure to sort of earn incentives, you need to stake some Radiant tokens, some RDNT tokens. So what they've done is they've taken the Aave incentive mechanism and made it more stricter. So if you're familiar with Radiant, you will probably understand what I'm trying to say. But essentially, what they do is that yeah, you have to stake tokens to earn extra yield. So yeah, if you go to the markets page, you see this 4% deposit yield that's currently live. But you also see that to earn an extra 4.8% in RDNT tokens, you need to stake basically, right? So it says boost your rewards with RDNT emissions when you meet emission eligibility. So this means that if you stake your RDNT tokens, you get more boosted yield. So this is sort of what we're going to be doing with ZeroLend. So this is the main custom innovation that we are going to run through in this boost, and that's really it. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And some context. This is public information on the Immunefi website, but Radiant, also has a bug bounty program, and they've also played out plenty of bugs in the past. Some of you may be here because you found bugs on them, and I invited you to hunt on this similar fork to them. So there's, when people have been making these modifications, bugs have been found in the past. So I'm quite excited for what you guys will find as well.
Mhm.
And Ryker, would you take us, I guess, now right into more of the code base, walking through the protocol?
Sure. So guys, there are two pieces that need to be scoped, that need to be looked into, right? It's really, really simple. First off, if you guys want any information, there are two sources that are very informative, right? The first is our documentation. So it's just docs.zerolend.xyz. You will get a lot of information on the project and the protocol. A lot of it is very similar to Aave, so you will not probably find anything unknown, right? So if you're familiar with Aave, you might be familiar with the isolation modes, emotes, supply borrow caps, all these things, right? We're right now deployed on ZK Sync and Manta. So these are the deployed addresses for the two markets in the scope, which is ZK Sync and Manta. And yeah, you can see that we have all the addresses here. They're deployed as well. So you can see, for example, this is the Manta market, the oracles here, right? So what we would love for you guys to understand or break is one, the current deployment, which is ZK Sync and Manta, and try to see if you can find issues in the markets, issues in permissions, issues in in any of the assets we have listed on the protocol. We worry a lot. We worry a lot about these assets that are listed. We worry a lot about our own deployment. If there is some bugs that we might not be aware of, that we might have to upgrade. So the first scope is looking at the deployed addresses for both ZK Sync and Manta. So that is number one. Number two is our governance, right? So this is the second scope, which has the Solidity lines 6,000 whatever Solidity lines of code. The best way for us to kind of go through what this code does is to just look at the unit tests, right? So in the unit tests, what we have done is we've written a few tests on the different functionalities here. But just to give you a summary of what this repo does, this repo contains the code for all the incentive mechanics that we want to play. So it takes inspiration from Curve Finance, inspiration from Radiant, and inspiration from Solidly, the V tokenomics of Solidly, right? So these are the three projects where we take inspiration from. And over here, we kind of, code up the different parts of of the project. So yeah, that's really the high level of it. And yeah, before I dive into this particular repo in detail, any questions so far? Yeah, actually, any questions, feel free to just drop it in the chat, and I'll try my best to answer it. So yeah, guys, the governance is quite simple. We have a voting mechanism, which is basically a time lock, so everything gets owned eventually by our time lock controller. We have a staking mechanism where people, they stake their tokens for anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 years. So this code base is the staking code base, where it's very similar to Curve Finance. This code was taken from Solidly by Andre Cronji, if you guys are familiar. So anyone that comes in, they can create a lock, which is anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 years. So let me see if I can show that to you. Yeah. So minimum is 1 week, and maximum is, I think, 4 years maximum. So so that's, it's variable. So yeah, minimum is 1 week for locking and maximum is 4 years. And so this folder here, which is locker, contains the code base to handle just staking and voting power. Yeah. So that's really what this folder, this part of the repo does. Then we have vesting. So every sort of reward or incentive in the project will go through vesting. It's also very similar to Radiant. If you go to Radiant, you can see that all rewards that you claim have a vesting period. So let me see if there's a way for us to, yeah. So every Radiant reward essentially has a 90-day vesting period. So this logic here is sort of what we document in this folder. So vested zero NFT is like an implementation that fully handles the vesting part of things, right? So yeah, this is how we handle vesting. We treat it. We have this contract that handles it. See if you can find bugs in breaking the vesting, exploiting this contract as well, because I think 30% of our token supply would be held in this contract. So do keep an eye out for this contract when you try to break it open. And the last bit is our voting. So essentially, users that stake, very similar to Curve and very similar to Solidly, they can get voting power, which they can use to vote on different gauges, which is very similar to Curve. So this is the pool voter contract. Again, this is taken from Solidly, where essentially people can, with their voting power, vote on different pools. And based on how much voting power a pool has, they get that much incentives. So over here, we have all the code for voting and emissions. So you have here, for example, the different gauges. This gauge is made compatible with Aave. So Aave has a function called handle action, which is triggered every time a user deposits or withdraws or borrows or supplies. And so we tie this to our gauges, Just to give you some recap, guys, of what a gauge is. So I think the best example is to go to Curve. Sorry. See if I can find how Curve does it. Yeah, DAO. There you go. So the best example is how Curve does it, where basically any user that like users sort of lock the Curve tokens in return for VECRV, vote escrowed curve, which they then use to sort of vote on where they want emissions to go. Now, I don't know why it's taking a while, but this should be relatively fast. Yeah, so essentially like how Curve has it, you can sort of lock your Curve tokens to get VECRV. In the same way how you can lock Zero tokens to get VE0, right? And you can use that to sort of vote on different kinds of pools based on the voting power you have. So this entire logic here is what we coded in this folder, which is called the voter folder. And that's really it. It's really simple. Again, as mentioned, we take inspiration from Gradient, inspiration from Curve, inspiration from Solidly Exchange by Andre Cronje, right? To make something that is a much better incentive mechanism. And we're going to be tying this into our lending protocol here on day 0, so of token launch. So that's really the brief summary of the code and the walkthrough. And that's really it, yeah.
Yeah, Ryker, thank you so much for explaining. I want to ask, what types of bug related to governance are you interested in, and what aspects of the protocol does the governance control?
So the governance controls incentives, staking, and voting. So incentives, staking, and voting. So these are the three things that the governance takes control of. Obviously, if the voting gets screwed, you could see malicious governance proposals being created. And so we want to make sure that, yeah, there's no way a person can manipulate their voting power, for example, right? So this is something we would love for you guys to look into and break. So, so yeah, that's sort of one thing we would love for you guys to break open when you look at governance. When you look at the lending protocol, what we want to look for, guys, is attack vectors, things like manipulation, things like private key compromises that could screw the entire protocol, right? Buggy code, yeah. So look at the existing deployment in the current code base and see if you can find bugs that could screw the project. But besides that, I think core supply and borrow logic, I don't think you would have to worry about that because that's like 100% Aave. But things like, let's say, for example, I don't know, LUSD, right? If something happens to LUSD that could get manipulated to, I don't know, screw the protocol, right? Or if you go to Manta, right? Like if you maybe look at TIA, right? Maybe if the private key of the TIA token gets compromised and the owner mints infinite TIA tokens, can they screw our protocol as well, right? So these are some of the things we would love for you guys to look into. Maybe even saying that, hey, look, the oracles are not secure. Maybe the oracles can get manipulated as well. So these are some of the things we would love for you to look into, analyze, and break open. And yeah, and also another thing to share is we have a dashboard by Chaos Labs that talks about all the different numbers and risk of the protocol. So you can look at information about the wallets. You can filter by wallets that are close to liquidation. So yeah, so for example, here you can see all bad debt, all users that are unhealthy and whatever. You can do simulations, so you can look at this as well. I'm going to share this into the chat. Basically, yeah, we'll share this also with you guys. This is the risk dashboard that lets you understand what's really happening in the protocol right now. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. And also, there's a question: what is reward token of pool voter contract?
So the reward token is zero. ZeroLend is our governance token. So this is sort of coded up over here. So this is the ZeroLend token. And yeah, and essentially it's really simple, normal ERC20 token. And so this is the token that we would be giving out for rewards on the pool voter contract, yeah. And that's it. So yeah. Okay, as a follow-up, is it rewarded to lenders and borrowers? Yes. So basically, if you are a lender or borrower, what happens is you basically, anytime you supply liquidity, you basically will be filling up one of the gauges. So this is the gauge that we have for each A token. And when you sort of, let's say, supply liquidity, you will basically be triggering this function here, which updates your balance on the contract. And when that happens, essentially, based on how much rewards the particular pool gets, you will be getting 0 tokens for it. So yeah, that's how it works. And okay, more questions. Who distributes reward tokens? So reward tokens are all automated. So there's a tokenomics that we have, which determines how much tokens get emitted. If you look at the voter pool voter contract, I believe there should be a notify. Yeah, there is a notify reward amount. So this is the main function that emits the rewards to all the different pools based on how much voting power there is. So yeah. And is there any token to be rewarded other than ZeroLend? As of now, there is no other token um, in plan. We're just looking at just ZeroLend token to be used for rewards, but the code base already supports multiple ERC20 tokens as rewards. It's just that we have not designed the incentive mechanism to include that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we can move to other parts since it's a huge code
Okay,
base.
what's next? Yep. I
Yep.
mean, the other parts of the code base, Rudra, this is it. Like it's just, um, yeah, it's pretty simple, dude. I mean, everything else, as mentioned, is an Aave fork, right? So you can, even in our repo, you can have a look at it. We have, where is it? Yeah, core contracts. So this is the core Aave V3 contracts that we have. So you can look at the differences here to see if there are any bugs, right? Then the peri-peri contracts. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, these are the two repositories where we maintain similarities between Aave and ZeroLend. So you can have a look at these two contracts. That's really it. I think I've covered most of the code base here that we would love for people to look into.
Oh, that's awesome. So I do have some questions though. Would you mind telling us uh, what are some of the important areas you feel that people actually should focus in, like which could be critical to protocol?
Yes. So, I mean, incentives is there, of course. The incentives. The governance and the incentives are important, right? But the biggest thing right now is our TVL. Like our TVL right now contains 34 million on Manta, 26 on ZK, 28 on Blast, right? So I'm coming to about um, 88 million, right? So this TVL is based on all the contracts that we mentioned that are over here, right? The deployed addresses. So trying, guys, your best to see what you can do to capture this TVL is P0, right? Um, it could be market manipulation, it could be code exploits, it could be, I mean, whatever, like recently, I think Immunefi, um, one of the Immunefi bug hunters discovered a bug with Aave's stability table rate borrowing, So anything within the code base that could screw us, right, would be, I think, the top priority right now. And yeah, and that's really what we want you guys to focus on the most. The incentive code base is new, the one that we just spoke about, which is where is it? Yeah, this one. The incentive code base is definitely custom code, so you guys will find some bugs over there. But I'm pretty sure we are more interested, guys, to see if you can, yeah, tackle issues here. So this is most important for us right now is to see what you can do to kind of yeah, capture 26 million, 34 million TVL on ZK Sync and Manta respectively. This would be, in my opinion, P0 right now. Yeah.
And one thing you brought up when we were preparing for this call that I think would be especially valuable to share too, is that it's not just standard bugs in the code that really matters for ZeroLend. If there's a mango hack type of situation where it's more of a clever market manipulation, which kind of walks the line between software bug and market manipulation exploit. At the end of the day, protecting people's money is the most important. If you got some interesting insight on how to exploit that, submit that. And if it, isn't a standard bug report, but it's really valuable, that's what's going to matter most of all.
Yes. So anything that can capture TVL, even market manipulation, because if you come to us and say, hey guys, look, if someone exploited, let's say, I don't know, Celestia, right? And they could drain our entire protocol because of Celestia, right? We will listen to that, So anything and everything that can get, capture TVL, or still take away our liquidity, right? P0 for us. So go at it, give it a try, and see what you guys can find. And that's really it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have an question for you. Your BBB states that you guys use a different compiler, which introduces complexity and potential for novel bugs. So my question would be like, how like such different compiler would affect auditing?
So it's a very in-depth question, essentially, guys, our deployment on Manta is sorry, not Manta, sorry. Deployment on ZK Sync is compiled using ZK Sync's own compiler. So find that. So ZK Sync has its own compiler called ZK Sol C. Let me see if we can find it. No, it could be here. So Prover SDK. Yeah, so essentially, ZK Sync is slightly different, right? ZK Sync is an EVM compatible, ZK chain, right, using ZK proofs. But to achieve EVM compatibility, they had to sort of change, like have their own compiler, write their own compiler. ZK Sync has been audited quite a bit, and according to them, 99% of EVM projects should be able to work with their code, right, and their compiler. But there could be an off chance that their compiler does something different that screws the entire protocol. I think a good example of this was Viper. So the Viper Finance exploit was a compiler exploit, right? And I don't know, maybe you guys can find something here with ZK Sync as well. That could be an interesting one to explore. Manta and Blast are I believe 100% EVM, so I don't think there's too much of an issue there. But our current ZK Sync market is compiled differently. So do give it a shot, guys. See if we can find some issues there. But the scope, I guess, if you were to look at that, is going to be a much larger scope, right? Because then you will have to, kind of go into the ZK Sync compiler, break it open, see if there's some issues there. But that's the scope of work similar to how the Viper exploit was found, right? So if you recall, back in August of last year, Viper was exploited, and Curve Finance lost. Curve Finance being one of the protocols, lost 61 million because of it, right? Yeah, so it was a compiler sort of issue. You might find something similar like that with ZK Sync. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, got it. Also, have you received like I'm pretty sure that you have already done auditing of your protocol, but have you ever received bugs that you were not expecting to see, and did it challenge your security assumptions or threat modeling?
I want you guys to surprise us, right? So far the auditors have, not found bugs that could drain the protocol. They have found bugs for sure, right? They found bugs like, oh, you are having things. I mean, your ownership is behind a wallet, an EOA. Put it behind a safe or put it behind a time lock or whatever. So we have found small, medium priority bugs, right? We have not found any high bugs or critical bugs that could drain the protocol, lose access to the protocol, screw something or the other, right? So none of those issues have been found as of yet. But that's, honestly, that's scary. We want to, I mean, we're humans, right? We do make mistakes. So, I mean, we would love for you guys to, find something and tell us that, hey, we did find something that you missed, so yeah, that's really a where we are right now.
Right. And also, when you are a bug hunter, right, the most interesting part of the code would be the most difficult to implement. So, I asked this question for the community. So, what was something that you found yourself very difficult to implement? And I think it would have a bigger scope of bugs to be found. So, would you mind telling us?
So difficult to implement is the governance contract. So the governance contracts, the ones that we mentioned here, are totally new. Yeah. So yeah, they take inspiration. I would say 80% of the code base is reused by some other protocol out there. So governance is Open Zeppelin. Locker is Solidly. Vesting is Radiant. Voter is a mix of Radiant and Solidly, right? So we take inspiration from a lot of projects, but I would say 80% of the code base is taken from somewhere else. 20% is handwritten. So this you might find a lot of new things here that you can probably exploit. Um,
And
yeah, and
that
that was yeah.
20% around, what part of the code would 20% be found in?
Yeah, I mean, so I would just say look at everything, as if it was written from scratch, right? Because the code has been changed quite a bit, so it would be good to consider. Like, I think one of my auditors told me that if you change 20% of the code, it's as if you're changing 100% of the code in these kind of scenarios, right? So yeah, my suggestion is to look at it as from scratch itself. But if you have worked with Solidly, this comes from. Let me see if I can find it on Google just by googling it. No, probably not. Right. Yeah, well, actually, I can. Yeah, so there you go. So yeah, you find a lot of similarities, in Solidly and what we've done here. So yeah, like for example, this is the same, as you can see, the same code base, same line of code from Solidly back in the day, exactly the same thing, right? But because we changed, yeah, 20% of it, my suggestion is to look at everything as if it was, 100% written from scratch. Yeah, so that's basically it.
Got it, got it. I think I'm done with my questions. So, guys, if you have any question, please drop them in the chat. And Mackenzie, do you want to add in?
Well, I just wanted to just chime in, thank Ryker for very comprehensive presentation. I don't know if I've seen someone live jumping between so many code bases so fluently. It has been quite impressive to watch. I dig
Yeah,
up, a resource or a link, and it takes me minutes, and you are spinning it up in seconds on the fly.
yeah,
It's
no, I
been
appreciate it.
fantastic.
And yeah, I mean, I hope you guys can find things. I'm more worried about, I'm more paranoid. Mac, if you meet me in person, you will see like I have a ton of gray hair and I'm like in my 20s, and I just have a ton of gray hair because like this the security of our project is stressing us every day. So if you guys can figure things out, it would be fantastic. I can see someone's already found a bunch of bugs. So super, yeah, grateful for that. So yeah.
And I think this is a good point to wrap it up. And when people got more questions, jump in the ZeroLend channel. You can tag Ryker there. If you forget his handle, you can just tag the ZeroLend team there. If you got a question that you want to keep private because you don't want to leak your kind of bug find or hint to others, you can create a private thread, just you and him. You can loop me or a teammate in as possible, also if you need. And so yeah, you guys have seen this. Ryker here, gray hairs as proof, is super interested in making sure this stays secure. Like their TVL has gone up a lot, even since yesterday, to be honest. And this next few months, this next few years is going to be major. And finding bugs on those in advance will be a great badge of honor. Never mind the 200K reward pool that's going out. And so with that, Ryker, would you, or Rudra, or anyone in the chat, would you like to leave off with any final words before we bring this call to a close?
Yeah, just want to say see you on the other side.
All right. And with that, I know, Ryker,
Yeah,
you are
sorry.
actually... Oh,
Yeah,
go on.
I have a few things. I mean, basically, if you guys can, I would love for this to be just the first of probably many bounties we do with the listeners here, and also with the rest of your community, guys, right? I mean, this should be just the beginning. We're gonna do more giveaways and prizes to hackers here. So please do consider this as a very long-term thing. We're here for, I think, for the rest of our crypto journey, right? And that's really it, yeah.
Right. Good way to end it there. Have a good day, everybody. Looking forward to those bug reports and seeing you in the chat. And Ryker, has got already a bunch of questions to catch up on in the ZeroLend boost. He is, with ETH Denver going around, a lot is going on. So, we're going to try and get to things as quick as possible before the weekend to enjoy ETH Denver. Jump back in on Monday with responding to bug reports, getting your questions in, blasting through that up. And this is going to be alive too. I'm going to post this as a YouTube link in the channel later today as well. And with that, have a great day, everybody.
All right, happy weekend.
See ya.